This was putting a braver face on the situation than it deserved. They could not very well defend themselves at all, and Temeraire was taking the worst of it, bleeding already from many small gashes along his side and flanks, which the crew could not bandage up, so cramped were they aboard.
"Only keep everyone moving towards the shore," Laurence said.
He had no better answer to give.
"I cannot imagine the patrol will pursue us over land," he added, but doubtfully.
He would never have imagined a French patrol could come so near to shore as this, either, without challenge, and how he should manage to disembark 1,000 frightened and exhausted men under bombardment, he did not like to contemplate.
"I am trying, only they will keep stopping to fight," Temeraire said wearily, and turned back to his work.
Arcady and his rough band of mountain ferals found the small, stinging attacks maddening, and they kept trying to turn around mid-air and go after the French patrol dragons. In their contortions they were flinging off more of the hapless Prussian soldiers than the enemy could ever have accounted for. There was no malice in their carelessness. The wild dragons were unused to men except as the jealous guardians of flocks and herds, and they did not think of their passengers as anything more than an unusual burden. But with malice or none, the men were dying all the same. Temeraire could only prevent them by constant vigilance, and now he was hovering in place over the line of flight, cajoling and hissing by turns, encouraging the others to hurry onwards.
"No, no, Gurney!"
Temeraire called out, and dashed forward to swat at the little blue and white feral. She had dropped onto the very back of a startled French chasseur vocifère, a courier beast of scarcely 4 tons, who could not bear up under even her slight weight, and was sinking in the air despite the frantic beating of its wings. Gurney had already fixed her teeth in the French dragon's neck, and was now worrying it back and forth with savage vigour. Meanwhile the Prussians, clinging to her harness, were all but drumming their heels on the heads of the French crew, crammed so tightly not a shot from the French side could fail of killing one of them. In his efforts to dislodge her, Temeraire was left open, and the Pou de Ciel seized the fresh opportunity, this time daring enough to make an attempt at Temeraire's back. His claws struck so near that Laurence saw the traces of Temeraire's blood shining black on the curved edges as the French dragon lifted away again. His hand tightened on his pistol, uselessly.
"Oh, let me!
Iskierka was straining furiously against the restraints which kept her lashed down to Temeraire's back. The infant Kazilik would soon enough be a force to reckon with. As yet, however, scarcely a month out of the shell, she was too young and unpractised to be a serious danger to anyone besides herself. They had tried as best they could to secure her with straps and chains and lecturing, but the last she roundly ignored, and though she had been but irregularly fed these last few days, she had added another 5 feet of length overnight. Neither straps nor chains were proving of much use in restraining her.
"Will you hold still for all love?"
Granby said despairingly. He was throwing his own weight against the straps to try and pull her head down. Allen and Harley, the young lookouts stationed on Temeraire's shoulders, had to go scrambling out of the way to avoid being kicked as Granby was dragged stumbling from side to side by her efforts. Laurence loosened his buckles and climbed to his feet, bracing his heels against the strong ridge of muscle at the base of Temeraire's neck. He caught Granby by the harness belt when Iskierka's thrashing swung him by again, and managed to hold him steady. But all the leather was strung tight as violin strings, trembling with the strain.
"But I can stop him,"
she insisted, twisting her head sidelong as she tried to work free. Eager jets of flame were licking out of the sides of her jaws as she tried once again to lunge at the enemy dragon, but their Pou de Ciel attacker, small as he was still many times her size, and too experienced to be frightened off by a little show of fire. He only jeered, back-winging to expose all of his speckled brown belly to her as a target in a gesture of insulting unconcern.
"Oh!"
Iskierka coiled herself tightly with rage, the thin, spiky protrusions all over her sinuous body jetting steam, and then with a mighty heave she reared herself up on her hindquarters. The straps jerked painfully out of Laurence's grasp, and involuntarily he caught his hand back to his chest, the numb fingers curling over in reaction. Granby had been dragged into mid-air, and was dangling from her thick neck-band vainly while she let loose a torrent of flame.